Hi friends, I'm Jocelyn Peters. I'm the maker and designer behind Mountain Song Designs, and welcome to this episode. We'll be talking about some designs, some finished objects, new cast-ons, and one book that I just fell in love with. I'm still honeymooning over it. It was so good. So let's get started. Okay guys, the first thing I'm going to share with you is something that I showed last time. So if you saw the last episode, you've seen it. I want to show it really quick. It's my newest pattern, the As If Cowl. Look at that. It is a plaid color work cowl. You get to play with minis. You need 5 mini skeins and 1 main color. And this is the time of year when there are a lot of minis around. So you can make it all moody for fall. You can make it with brighter colors. You can also make it with 2 full skeins. If you don't want to go with minis, if you have the 2 colors in your stash, or you want to go shopping and find some fun colors. It's a great time of year for this kind of a cowl. It fits well. This is the Sheepyshire yarn, so soft and cozy, staple sock. So if you want to learn a little bit more about that, you can check out my last chatty episode. I also have a Substack newsletter. If you haven't checked it out, please do. If you subscribe, I send out a newsletter once a week. It is usually something light or fun or a little thoughtful, hopefully something that will bring a bit of light to your day. But when I have patterns come out, that's the best way to find out all of the information about it and the best discounts. So check that out if you want to learn more about the As If Cowl. Now the next cowl that I have is something I have been obsessing over for the last couple of weeks. I've been designing a new cowl. Look at this. It's lace and cables. See the lace? And then it ends in all of these glorious cables. It uses a sock set in fingering weight yarn. I love hand-dyed sock sets because they are gorgeous, but I don't always want to make socks with them because sometimes it's too pretty to put on my feet. This yarn is Potions and Purls. Look at that. Can you see this? Oh, there's a light on it. Look at that. Isn't that just so pretty? And the packaging this came in was gorgeous. I put it on my Instagram if you want to see it. It was all moody and I loved it, and it's perfect for October. It got me in the mood. But this is Season of the Witch sock set on superwash, extra fine merino and nylon. This is a lovely squishy yarn. And I had so much fun working through these lace and cables and, oh my gosh, because look, it looks like a witch's broom. Oh, look at that. But you know, I got to looking at it and thinking about it, and these could be Christmas trees, or it could be like candelabras. You can look at, see, it's like the base with the candelabras coming up, or like in harvest time, you know, the sheaths of wheat when they're kind of put up in a triangle shape and gathered at the top, kind of reminded me of that. So you just pick whatever holiday you feel like, even pumpkin spice, I consider that a holiday, and whatever it is you want, and it fits so nice. Let me show you. Take this off for a second. It's a Stephen West shawl, so it's huge. I'm going to show that to you in just a second. But look at this. I'm calling it the Falliday Cowl because it's all of the holidays in fall and winter. But look at this. Oh my goodness. It makes me so happy. You can wear it like this. You can fold it down. Let it be loose. You can pull it over your shoulders more. If you have smaller shoulders, this will really go over your shoulders, or it can stay higher up. You can put it more to the front, have it hang down farther. It's an easy wear, easy thing. And it was so fun. maybe I'm biased, but I loved making this. So this is the Falliday Cowl. Now it hasn't been test knit yet, hasn't even been edited yet. Like, I'm in that process. But if it's something, if you like test knitting, or if you are considering test knitting, but maybe you never have, I'd love for you to join us. I'll put the link. It's an application. It's basically so I can get your information and we know we're on the same page as far as some rules and things like that. Nothing crazy. But there's an application, a Google form you fill out, and I run my tests through Discord. It's an easy place to be. It's a nice place to chat and meet some other knitters virtually, and also see what patterns. It's low pressure, but if you like lace and cowls and you're looking for something, I know it's a busy time of year, but you should join us there. So that is the Falliday Cowl. I will talk more about it over the next few episodes. So that is coming up. And and I have one more design I'm working on. This one is, where'd it go? This one is in testing. But again, if you're interested in testing this, come join us. We have a lot of fun. This is, I got that caught, the Deci Scarf, named after a wonderful man. And this has been so fun. It's a relaxing knit. It's my on-the-go knitting. I always have go bag knitting, and this is it. It needs a slightly larger bag for 2 full skeins, but I just take my larger purse and it works out and it's fine. It's so easy to take with me and knit, and it's going to be a really lovely scarf. It is reversible, so it's really squishy, and it's going to be lovely to wear. So that is it for my designs. Let's move on to some finished objects. The first finished object that I'd like to share with you today is technically one of my designs. This is one of my teeny tiny socks that I made to go with this pattern, my coffee and a sunrise pattern. I wanted to try it out for the little tiny feet I was designing it for, and so I did. And I have both of them done. I have a pair done. I had set the second sock aside for months because I had other things to knit, because you know how it goes. If you've been knitting for any amount of time, most of you probably know what it is to have a pile of WIPs over there that you're pretending isn't there, right? Well, this one got set aside. I was gonna work on it, but I finally did. It only took me like 2 days to finish, and they're done, and they're adorable. Oh my goodness. This is Comfort Sock by Borroco. You can see the little coffee cups, or I guess for a baby it could be milk cups, right? And sunrises, because babies like to be up before the sunrise. At least mine do. But this heel, so I was on the heel flap and I had set it aside, and when I went to look at the pattern to see, okay, what do I do next for the heel turn, I remembered which heel was on this. Isn't that crazy? I forgot what heel I had used. I adore this heel. Look at this. All of the decreases are on the bottom, so you don't really have any going here. It's a nice line. And look at the shape. I just think that's so neat, and it fits my foot so well. I love this kind of a fit, and it is so fun to make this heel. The gusset section of socks is fine, but it's just kind of whatever. But when you get this reinforced heel and you continue this down from the back, it's just more fun. So I really enjoyed finishing these up, and I will have to find a little pair of feet for these to fit. But I enjoyed that, and that's done. My next set that's done is also another pair of socks, another pair of shorty socks, and another one of my patterns, my Fade into Neverland socks patterns. Here's the original, the sample. So it's written for a full length. I wanted shorties. The recipient likes shorties. So I made them, and I had fun with color. I made them the inverse. It was really fun to make these. And it's nice that they're done and I can move on to the next thing. So 2 socks off the needles, and that's that. Let's move on to WIPs. So if you watched last episode, you saw that I really wanted to cast on a worsted weight sweater. It's getting cooler. It just felt like it was time. I had the yarn picked out. It is Shepherd's Mill worsted, and it is lovely. But I needed the pattern, and I looked through and I decided to knit a pattern that's been in my queue for ages. I knit this sweater already, but I knit the kit version, and it's called Bloomsbury by Svetlana Volcova. And here's the kid one and the back. Isn't that lace gorgeous? And I love this front. I love the increases. It's just so pretty, and it's fun to make this. So I decided I would go ahead and make myself one. It's perfect because it's top down. And the lace is fun, pretty straightforward, but it makes me pay attention, which is nice too. Not the whole time, but enough that it keeps my interest. So here is mine. Look at this. Oh, isn't that blue gorgeous? So of course it's all bunched up on needles, so it's kind of hard to see, but it's coming along. That's the back. I am doing this on 1 size smaller needles, and I think the only modification that I made was to start after the neckline, to start 1 stitch over so that all of the lace would line up. And it's here, look, all of these here, this thing here, all of the entrances into the lace lines, they line up really well if you just start 1 stitch over. So I really am enjoying this. Now, because it's not just a straightforward raglan sweater, or a yoke where you only do increases every 10 rows or whatever it is a slightly more complicated pattern. It is written well enough. It is not overly explicit. So if this is your first sweater, I would not do this as my first sweater. I would get 1 or 2 under my belt so I kind of know what to expect, because and I think if you look at some of the project pages on Ravelry, you'll find some people had some similar experiences with it, but it really is accessible, especially if you have a little bit of knowledge base to work from. So if you do, this is definitely a fun one. It'll keep your interest, but also be pretty quick. How great are worsted weight sweaters, right? Like, they're so quick. I think I've been working with fingering weight way too much recently. It's been a nice break and a fun pattern. So I'm looking forward to the sleeve split and moving on from there. So that is my WIP. Let's move on to the next part. Let's talk about what I'm wearing. This is from my pattern library. This is a Stephen West shawl. I love this. Now, it's hard to show you the whole thing because it's so big. This is the dotted rays fade. And isn't that a gorgeous fade? Oh my goodness. And it's huge. It goes all the way over here. This was a really fun pattern. Now, we're back to fingering weight. And this is 5 colors. It did not use all of the skeins, but it used a lot of them. This took me a long time to make, but I really enjoyed the process. I have to get out the colorways. Hang on. Sorry, I had the wrong paper out. This yarn, I don't think you can get anymore. I don't believe this dyer is still dyeing yarn. Bad Wolf Girl Studios This is the Twisty matte base, and it was the fall fade kit. Hedwig is the lightest. Sirius. I think this one was called Halloween. This one might have been Halloween with the colors. And then Drogon. It's such a fiery, gorgeous, gorgeous color. I wish I could remember what the orange one was. It might have been a Weasley. Now I can't remember, and it's been so long. So now I figured I would share this with you because, first of all, I love it. I guess it's the Dotted Rays Speckled fade, technically. So Stephen West, and many of you may be getting ready to knit a Stephen West shawl. This is, I think, his 14th mystery knit along. It looks like it'll be fun. I'm not really the person who does mystery knit alongs. Sometimes I will, but I struggle with not knowing what's coming. Are you guys like that, or do you love the surprise? I don't know, maybe I'm a little crazy, but I like to know what it is and how the colors, I want to be able to pick the right colors, the perfect colors, and all of that. So sometimes I will watch what other people are doing and kind of see where it's going, and then I'll jump in. But if you are knitting that, I hope you have such a fun time with that make along. So that is my Dotted Rays, and it's like, it's definitely a blanket. The shawl blanket, it's so cozy, and it's the perfect time of year for it. So let's move on to our last part. I have a book to share with you. So here we go. Well, today is October 1st. So I get to drink tea out of a cauldron. This makes me so happy. And I have 2 quotes for you today because you'll understand the second one. I'll go ahead and tell you this first because I love these little novelty quotes. With books, I slip out of my life and I'm with the choicest company, by Catherine Young. I love these quotes. They make me feel so warm and fuzzy. And then I get to drink the tea, which is so good. Oh my goodness. Let me set that down. Now, it's October. All of the Anne girls around the world are saying this quote today, right? Can you say it with me? I'm so glad I live in a world where there are Octobers. Oh, Anne of Green Gables. I get to say it every day for the next 30 days, 30 more days. So it's October. But let's shift gears. This is not an Anne of Green Gables book review. I finished a book. It's been a week or 2, and it was so good and so big. Do you ever have those big books that you just have to take time to kind of sort through and just settle with? Well, this was one of those. It is The Making of Another Major Motion Picture Masterpiece by Tom Hanks. This book, it was a big book. I listened to the audiobook, 16-hour audiobook. And I saw some reviews. Some people love it and some people couldn't finish it. And I wonder if it was a difference between listening to the audiobook and reading the book. This may be one that is best listened to because I adored it. It gets a little wordy at times, but I really enjoy that. So I don't really see that as a negative, especially when I'm listening to the author tell me. And the author is obviously a talented storyteller. He has made his life's work out of telling stories to people through his words and actions. And I love Tom Hanks movies. So it was a really fun thing to listen to. Plus the additional characters that he brought in, additional voices to read from different characters' perspectives, made it more of a production than just listening to a book. I really appreciated it. At the beginning, I started to feel like, okay, there's a lot of backstory. Let's get to the making of the major motion picture masterpiece. It's a long title too. But when I was on board though, because I knew that it was there for a reason. I knew that we were going to be coming back to it and that I needed to know it for a reason. So when we got to the end where it all comes together and it really ties in, I appreciated having all of the backstory and knowing it and not having to hear it then. The timing matters, and the time to hear that story was at the beginning, and the time to bring it all together was at the end. It was such a fun story, and you guys, I am convinced Tom Hanks is a knitter. Okay, maybe he's not, but he knows knitters. Like, if you read this, the way he writes about knitters in his story, how they are knitting, why, when, what they have with them, he knows them. He didn't just, a lot of times in movies, like, there are people knitting and they're like kind of poking a ball and it doesn't make any sense, or they say they're knitting and they have a crochet hook or whatever. It was not that kind of representation. It was as if he valued knitting. So maybe he just has wonderful friends who knit, and he brought them in and all that. But if he was like, "Hey, I'm a knitter," I would believe him. So, and it was fun to have knitting woven into a story that was otherwise really good too. So if you are looking for a listen, a good audiobook, it really is, it's a great one. It takes a little more time than you might be used to, depending on what kinds of books you read, but it is a great story and fun to read. If you want to hear more about my theory on Tom Hanks as a knitter, that is also on Substack. It's just fun, silly, not really saying that he is a knitter. Sorry, Tom, if you aren't. But yeah, so that's Substack. So that's it for me today. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for making it all the way to the end. Make sure that you follow me here, subscribe. Also on Instagram, I post a lot of things here on Instagram. Also, just on Friday, it was National Coffee Day, and I decided to have a sale on a couple of my patterns, and that's where I announced it. So Instagram is a great place to follow me. Substack, you get all of the information plus some fun stuff. I'll have the links in the description. Also, if you go to Instagram, I'm Mountain Song Designs there. All the links are in the profile there too. Don't forget, if you are a test knitter and you are interested in test knitting or just being in the group, maybe this test knit isn't for you, but you might want to later. Join us there. Just fill out the application so that I know that you are interested. And I hope you all have a wonderful day and a wonderful October and have so many wonderful things coming up. So, Sláinte and happy knitting.
Country roads, take me home to the place I belong. West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads.